Good morning, church. I'd like to begin today's reflection with a reading from today's Gospel from Mark chapter 9, verses 2 through 10. Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up to a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no fuller on earth could bleach them. Then Elijah appeared to them along with Moses, and they were conversing with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, "Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He hardly knew what to say. They were so terrified. Then a cloud came, casting a shadow over them, and from the cloud came a voice, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." Suddenly looking around, they no longer saw anyone but Jesus alone with them. As they were coming down from the mountain, he charged them not to relate what they had seen to anyone, except when the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what rising from the dead might mean. When I first heard the story of Jesus shining on the mountain, I thought it was an incredibly hilarious spoof, until I myself experienced a person shining. She was the principal of our school that we had started in Arkansas. She was such an incredibly talented person, and I believe that our school was in for some wonderful years with her at the helm. Then one morning she came to school and she was glowing. I'd never seen such an occurrence before, and I thought, she's pregnant. Later that day she came to my office and said, "I have some good news and some bad news." I said, "Give me the good news first." She said, "I'm pregnant." After I congratulated her, I asked her for the bad news. She said, "I'm retiring as principal to prepare for my baby." I could not try to persuade her to stay as principal because the glow I had experienced with her convinced me that God was at work in her life. In 1988, I saw 3 people glow. I was waiting in line in our community cafeteria to have my midday meal when I saw the glow from 3 men standing in line ahead of me. They were not together, but 10 to 15 feet from each other, but they individually glowed. I recognized immediately that they were the only 3 vegans in our community. They always bypassed the meat section and took only vegetables. Then the glow disappeared. But I got the message. God had offered me a gift to help me evaluate my eating habits. I would like to tell you that I immediately stopped eating meat. It took me more than 20 years to finally come to that decision. And still I sometimes fail to keep my resolution. In today's gospel, the three apostles see Jesus glow. 6 days before the passage that we read today, Jesus had told them that his decision to follow the inspiration of God was going to lead to his crucifixion and death. But it would not end in defeat, but in victory. He was steadfast in his resolve, and he asked them to take up their cross and follow him. Peter took Jesus aside and rebuked him for his stance. But Jesus rebuked Peter and told him that Peter's thinking was not inspired by God, but by human thinking. And now Peter and his companions see Jesus glow. There was no doubt in their minds that the way to God was through the cross of Christ. In a survey some years ago, comparing the values of the Catholic Church community with the values of the American people, the results showed that the Catholic community had the same values as the American community. We had the same stance towards war and peace, towards immigration, health insurance, taxes, and treatment of the poor. That might be expected since we lived in the same cultural environment. I grew up in Ireland hating the British. I did not see anything wrong with that, as all Irish people hated the British. However, the real question for a Catholic is to ask ourselves, how do we compare with the value system of Christ? Would Christ's values be the same as the average American or average Catholics? Jesus opened his heart to the inspiration of God, and the Spirit shone through him. The same Spirit wishes to shine through you and through me. What parts of our lives may only be in harmony with the lives of the average Catholic American, but not in harmony with the inspiration of the Spirit of Christ? Our Catholic community may feel at peace in our way of life, our wealth and power, our strength and weaknesses, our successes and failures, or who we regard as our neighbours, all based on the fact that no evil has befallen us or that God has not reprimanded us. Jesus, on the other hand, speaks to the justice and patience of God, who will be the final arbiter of what is right and wrong. So let us spend a minute in reflection in the presence of God. God bless you.